Good morning, friends. Happy virtual day. So today we are going to be learning about setting. So here's my beautiful picture. The setting. Now setting is where and when a story takes place. So a lot of the time when people talk about setting, they only talk about the where and they forget about the when. So I want you guys to be super duper second graders and make sure you include both of them. So for my not so good illustration, my where, it could be a house, it could be in the woods, it could be anywhere. When, it's a little bit more broad. So this is supposed to be a moon. It could have happened at night. Or you could actually give me the time. You could talk about in the past, which means it happened before. Or you could talk about the present, which means it's happening now. Or the future, like what if there's like a story about people living on the planet Mars? That might happen in the future. So all of those things have to do with setting. So for our read aloud today, I'm going to read the book Knuffle Bunny. And during this story, I want you guys to really pay attention to the setting because that's going to be our learning target. Our learning target is we are learning the setting of a story. And if you want to get your body involved like we normally do, you can. Are you guys ready? We are learning the setting of a story. Great job. Okay, so let's look at this book. It's called Knuffle Bunny. And before I begin, let's just take a look at the cover. All right, based on what you see here, do you think this story is fiction or nonfiction? All right, whisper it to somebody at home. If nobody's at home, whisper it to yourselves. Give me a hand up if you say it was fiction. All right, show me your hand if you think it was nonfiction. Well, I think this book is a fiction book because I'm looking and it has an illustration. It's like a cartoon. It doesn't really look like a photograph. So let me see. I'm going to read the story and try to find out. So it's Knuffle Bunny, and it says A Cautionary Tale by Mo Williams. Not so long ago, before she could even speak words, Trixie went on an errand with her daddy. Ooh, what do you notice about the illustration here? It's like a photograph, and then people were drawn in. That's pretty cool. Trixie and her daddy went down the block and through the park. So let's take a mental note of this setting right now. Where and when. Past the school and into the laundromat. Trixie helped her daddy put the laundry into the machine. Oh goodness, look at Trixie. That silly Trixie. She even got to put the money into the machine. Then they left. So a lot of us are not used to putting money into a washing machine, but they're in a place called a laundromat. So a laundromat is like if you don't have a washer and dryer, you go to a laundromat and you pay to do your laundry there. That's why she's putting money into the washing machine. But a block or so later, Trixie realized something. What do you think Trixie realized? Think about the title of the story. Think about the previous illustrations. What do you think Trixie realized? Let's see. Trixie turned to her dad and said, "That's right," replied her daddy. "We're going home." said Trixie again. "Blaggle, blabble, wumpy, flappy, soup." "Now, please, don't get fussy," said her daddy. Well, she had no choice. Trixie bawled. "Ah!" She went boneless. Now look at the illustration where she went boneless. What do you think that means? She did everything she could to show how unhappy she was. By the time they got home, her daddy was unhappy too. As soon as Trixie's mommy opened the door, she asked, "Where's Knuffle Bunny?" The whole family ran down the block and they ran through the park. They zoomed past the school and into the laundromat. Trixie's daddy looked for Knuffle Bunny and looked and looked and looked. But Knuffle Bunny was nowhere to be found. So Trixie's daddy decided to look harder until Knuffle Bunny! And those were the first words Trixie ever said. And then there's just some pictures of Knuffle Bunny in the washing machine. Okay, so for virtual learning this week, if you look at your paper for day 1, I don't have an example because you guys are in the classroom right now learning music. In your packet, it's going to say that we're going to write about 2 settings in the story. Now, there are several settings, but we could just focus on 2. Now, remember, a setting is where and when, where and when. So, not only is it where, but it's also when. We never want to forget that when. So, for the first one, we could just pick a setting, any setting. Where did the story take place? And I'm going to kind of just scroll through the pictures really fast with you guys. So if you look, let's see, we're at the house, we're leaving the house, we're walking down the block, we're walking through a park, We're walking past the school, walking to the laundromat. And here's laundromat. More laundromat. And then we're back on the block. So we could use like a lot of different examples in this. We could talk about the laundromat. We could talk about the city. We could talk about the block. We could talk about it being outside. It's really up to you what two settings you pick. So since the laundromat was pretty popular, I'm going to write about the laundromat. So I'm going to write the first setting. So I always start off with a capital letter. The. Now, part of writing in the second grade is making sure that we're spelling our high frequency words correctly. So make sure we know how to spell these basic words, okay? If you don't, just keep practicing. All right, so the, finger, 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 space, the first. And then remember, if you don't know how to spell something, like I might not know how to spell the word setting, I can always use my resources. So if I'm doing an activity that's asking me about the setting, I can look at the top and say, wow, the word setting's right there. So I can easily get it off my paper. So the first setting is, making sure I have my finger space, the, and then I'm going to write laundromat, and I'm going to have to sound that one out. Ooh, ooh, j, j. Oh, I know DR makes that sound. E, mat. All right, so I'm still not done with my sentence, so I'm just gonna kind of go over my writing. The first setting is the, oh, look at that, the. Does anyone know what I did wrong there? Yeah, we don't have capital letters in the middle of our words. So I'm just gonna erase, wipe it down, and I'm gonna fix it. The first setting is the laundromat. Now that might not be how I spell laundromat or how it's spelled in the book, but does it make sense? Laundromat. Yes, that makes sense. It might not be the right spelling, but it does make sense when we do get to those challenging words. For example, if I tried to write laundromat starting with a W, that wouldn't make sense because a W doesn't make the L sound. So the first setting is the laundromat. I talked about the place. Now I'm going to talk about the when. So the first setting is the laundromat, and I could say during the day. During the day. So now I covered both bases. I talked about the where and I also talked about the when. So the first setting is the laundromat during the day. And make sure that we have our punctuation marks. I'm noticing some of us are still forgetting our periods. Remember, our period is very important because it's the stop sign and then the next sentence start. So if we don't put periods, it's really hard to figure out what people are writing sometimes. Like, for example, if I said, the setting of the story is the laundromat during the day. He went to the laundromat. She went to the laundromat. The bunny got lost. And there's no periods. That is a run-on sentence. We cannot do that. We have to stop in between each sentence. Okay, so we did the first part together, and now you're going to do the second part on your own where you pick the other setting. And like I said, there's a few settings in the story. If you want to pause and listen to me read it again, you're definitely more than welcome to. But write about the second setting. Now your pictures on here must reflect your writing. So if I wrote the first setting is a laundromat during the day and I draw a picture of a banana, no, that doesn't make sense. So I want to make sure my illustration corresponds with my writing. Okay? Alright, you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to post them on Microsoft Teams. Alright, you guys, have a great day. Miss all of you.